Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Seed Talk Podcast. Here, sponsored by Sports Tech Atlanta. First pod of the year. I guess we can technically still say Happy New Year for everybody because we're coming at you for the first one for the year from our side.
No.
Yeah, you can still say it. I mean, there's no timetable. What are you, Larry David over here?
I am Larry David. There is a timetable. It is Black History Month as we are recording. It is February 1st. It is no longer Happy New Year.
You can still say it if I haven't seen you. I don't think there is a time limit on it until maybe, let's say, 3-4 months. Then yeah, that's not kosher. But until then, I think you can get it all the way till the end of January, up until the maybe first week of February. I was at a pickup run the other night. I haven't seen people. It was the first time I was there all year. I said Happy New Year because it's the first time I seen you. That still works. I think that's still in good taste. But like I said,
how bad were you?
Oh, I was fire. I did miss the game when the layup had a nice crossover. We came back. It's good ball and missed it. But your boy still on with the Happy New Year to everybody out there was giving them Happy New Year buckets because that's what I do. And with those buckets and fire, we got fire takes coming at you guys for the new year. And Sterling, how you feeling? How you doing?
I'm okay. Tumultuous end of January, I think, for us here in America. I know we have a lot of listeners that are outside the U.S., so a little tumultuous as we start a new presidency. But yeah, outside of that, not too bad. January felt long. I don't know if it felt like that for you. It felt like we had 50 or 60 days. It was a long month.
It did. I mean, when you have a newborn running around, crawling around, I wouldn't say running yet, the days stretch out because every hour is almost accounted for, so you feel the days. And then obviously our prayers are out to a lot of the families that are out there that were going through which is crazy, the plane crashes that we've seen in the past few days here stateside, and honestly worldwide. It can happen. It's one of those things where anything can take place anywhere around the world. But as we come to find out, if you haven't seen the big news with the plane crash in Washington, D.C. at DCA, Reagan International Airport, colliding into a Black Hawk helicopter, military helicopter. And then the next day or 2 days later, you had a medical plane crash out of Philadelphia. But that was private, not commercial. But still, I think the sentiment rings, still holds true with that and how the feeling of, air travel. Do I think it's not safe? No, I don't have that feeling. It was, when it comes to DC, it's very sad, but you find out that the route that was.
Well, I want to make sure, because I know what you're trying to say, but
do I feel like it's unsafe for me to go out and fly? No, I don't feel it's unsafe.
Right, but and the reason why you're saying that is obviously they have put this onus that somehow diversity and inclusion efforts are the root of some of these causes, right? Or root of some of these issues.
I see where you're going. Yeah, that the management.
People are not thinking that you are thinking that. I just want to make sure.
No. The current management. I was just thinking literally from the literal standpoint. I appreciate the assistance there. No, from the literal standpoint, is it? People were like, oh, is it is airspace and air travel, is it not safe to go up in the skies? And you're like, in the minute that we have talked, 1,000 planes have taken off and landed and everything has been fine. I think that's the same way when Boeing is still having issues, obviously, but they've had a lot of cover up. It's a whole other thing. But as the time that you have had that conversation with the person that you're talking to, thousands of planes have taken off, landed safely, millions of planes, and nothing has happened. Obviously, it's that 0.1% that you have happen, and it's terrible when it does happen.
Well, I think the tough thing for us to think about it is it's the first commercial tragedy in
2 decades
since 2009, right? Yeah. So, and to your point, this doesn't happen a lot. But I do think when you look at some of the efforts of the current administration and them rolling back things within the FAA, the TSA security, the hiring freezes around some of the aviation, that changeover, that feels like a lot, right? So you're trying to understand and grapple with are some of their obviously initiatives. Mm-hmm. Whether you want to say they're good or bad, right? Are they the cause to some of these accidents here? which really that's what we should be, I think, kind of thinking through and investigating. To your point on the safety side, or is what the administration is doing, is it causing us to now be stressed about flying? That is, I think, a fair question to ask. To your point, flights, it's safer to get it in a plane than it is a car, right? Or has been in the past. So I think, to your point, typically we should be safe, but there are
These
some
planes are
questions
designed to handle turbulence, terrible thing. I mean, engineering is a marvel. You have to marvel at the engineering that a lot of these architects, engineers.
But that's the thing. Like, it
wasn't. I
wasn't.
mean, these planes are very durable.
It wasn't that type of an issue, though. The
Oh,
issue,
100%. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, flight. I'm not worried about flying. It was a freak.
The issue
it was a freak accident.
Kind of. I think the issue is with the staffing in the administration, rolling back the amount of people that are involved in these agencies, which is why you may have had the issue you had.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're at, and there's a lot of things that the new administration has done in rolling back to be political on not. And this is the thing that's always annoying with politics. Like, oh, the new administration comes in and we're going to undo everything the last administration did, but then we're going to still blame the last administration. This can go however you want to look at that, from however you want to view this as you're listening. But the show politics is annoying. But for this specific instance, and we want to wait for NTSB to come out, but it seems like when you listen to the ATC, obviously the ATC communication between the commercial airliner and the helicopter, you kind of question what was going through the cabin for the helo pilots. They have a lot of stuff going on that they're doing in checks, and it's really hard to see if you've never flown into DC, especially at night. There's 1,000 lights. I mean, it goes for any type of big city, but especially in DC. And from the commercial airliner was obviously lined up and coming in final approach the way that they should. And then you get confirmation from air traffic control, ATC for folks, to the helicopter pilot. Helicopter pilot acknowledges that command, and the next thing you know, you have the accident. So to the policies and the rollbacks, I where the blame was initially thrown on, it's funny that now you see as stuff comes out, that's not the case at all for what was trying to be placed for blame. And it just goes to my point, though, of I'm not worried about flying. But I will say this: if there is an issue up in the air, I'm useless because I'm at least 2 drinks in. I'm enjoying myself, probably have my Netflix up. I am a vegetable when it comes to that. There's nothing I can do because
there's nothing you can do.
I mean, you got to tuck and brace. Tuck and brace is just, hey, we going down. Pray to God that we all make it out. But for the most part, we all going to be partying at the pearly gates very soon because there's not much you can do. Because even they dropped from 400 feet. 400 feet is very high.
That's up for room.
We all in the upper room. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. Once you go down, you're going down. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's sad to say, but that's just the reality. At least I had my fun at the Sky Club, got my free food, got my free couple drinks, and now I'm feeling a little boozy and buzzy while I'm on the flight. That's all I can do. There's nothing else. You're in God's hand at that point. God and engineer in the brain power that He put into these engineers to develop these planes. So crazy way to start the new year, get into February here. And there's a lot of fun stuff going on. I know we had to kind of just acknowledge that because obviously that's the major world news that we have going on. And there's a lot of other stuff as well. We like to hit everything for the Seed Talk podcast. And as we're coming up, when you listen to this, the biggest thing that's coming around, and it's obviously America's Super Bowl, but we like to inject this into the rest of the world and call it the World Super Bowl and being world champions, because that's what it is. The next time that Germany, France, anybody wants to field a football team and come across the pond and play us, until that day, this is world champs.
Okay,
Noah Lyles. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you win the NFL championship, you world champs, because we got the Super Bowl coming up. And I think one of the most hyped up performances, due to a lot of industry, maybe planted beef, Kendrick Lamar is coming on. So Sterling, what are your thoughts coming into the Super Bowl? AFC, NFC championship games were cool. Now you got Eagles, Chiefs rolling in New Orleans into the Big Easy, and then Kendrick Lamar at halftime. What are you thinking so far? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I think it's annoying that the Chiefs are back in the place that they are in. It's just tough to beat that team. I think we all felt like the Bills had a chance, and it feels like that. Mahomes feels Jordan-esque, or if you even want to compare like Steph Curry to like James Harden, right? James Harden was so good for so long, and it kind of feels like Josh Allen, right? Like, is he ever going to be able to get out of the AFC? And yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts, I've said it for a long time. I don't think he is that great of a quarterback, but you mix him with Saquon Barkley and we all see what the results are. I put up something, continue to go to the Sea Talk podcast, Instagram, and TikTok. I put up a little meme, right, of like Shannon Sharp way long ago crying when he was all working on the CBS show. And it was it was like crying, but he's also kind of laughing, right? So it's like it's a kind of a mocking cry. And my caption was that Jalen Hurts now has more Super Bowl appearances than Aaron Rodgers. A lot of Green Bay fans and a lot of Aaron Rodgers fans are very upset with that. But that is hilarious, right? Jalen Hurts, who, again, from my standpoint, is not that great of a quarterback, is now going to go to the Super Bowl for the second time, obviously to play the Chiefs for the second time. So, yeah, I expected to be a good game. If you remember the first time around, I mean, it was a really, really good game. Came down to the wire. Obviously, Mahomes made a play late, made that scramble, and then they kicked the field goal to win it with like a few seconds left. So I expect this one to be pretty close. I think the line's like 1.5 or so. It started at 1.5. I think it's moved up and down here as people place their bets. But yeah, I think the Chiefs will probably win late or have a chance to win late with a Butker field goal is what I think will happen.
This is just me. I've never thought the Chiefs have been good all year. I think they're probably the worst team that has made it to the Super Bowl. But then you could be like, Taylor, how can you say that? You can't say a team is terrible that makes it to the Super Bowl. I can. And here's the thing. This Chiefs team has I think 7 one-score wins throughout the season. And the one that touches home for us, because obviously with STA, Sports Tech Atlanta, behind our name, the Atlanta Falcons should have won. But what didn't happen? There wasn't a call in the end zone, because you never get a call versus the Chiefs, because then that goes against the narrative that the NFL wants to write so that they can make a potential three-peat for the Chiefs. The Chiefs always get the calls. They got the calls versus the Bills. And I think Mahomes works magic, and there's something that he does have that's really special. When you saw like Brady had the ball and it was the last possession, or maybe the other team may potentially get a possession, something turns on with that quarterback that does put some fear into the defense and into that other team to play a little hesitant, to play tentative, and the next thing you know, you're thrown off because of the magic and the greatness that quarterback has had. But overall, and I will give Spags has had some great play calls late for the Chiefs. Chiefs are not a good team, and I'm surprised that they made it this far with one loss this whole time. It's the one loss or 2 losses, regardless.
One
the one
to
loss.
The Bills.
Yeah. And I mean, I just think that they've skated by, the skin of the grit of the skin of the teeth, and such a thin margin for error that a lot of the commentators like to make against this team. But I feel like a lot of teams have beat themselves when playing the Chiefs, and I believe it's not James Bradbury,
team, right? You have to beat them. They do not beat themselves, right?
But I think that they have. Like, look at it against Denver. They were beating themselves, and then all of a sudden you pull it out because they get the tip block field goal towards the end. I think they've had moments throughout the year where they have beat themselves. And I guess to what you're saying, I guess, other teams just didn't capitalize the way that they should have. And that's where I don't think that the fear of this team, obviously, to fight through, you've had Isaiah Pacheco go down and try and make his return. They've had offensive weapons that have gone down. And next thing you know, it's the Mahomes magic that you have to look at. And then also what the defense has done in the second half of this year. I will say the defense is different second half versus the first half, but I still think this team, I'm saying it in jest that they're not good. I think that they're a fine team, but I don't think that they're the caliber team that everybody's making them out to be in the Super Bowl. And you're not going up against a Jalen Hurts led with, I think, James Bradbury, who was that running back last time? You got Saquon Barkley in the backfield. And if all else fails, this is why I thought you would have the Ravens come out of the AFC. If the Ravens didn't beat themselves versus the Bills, I think it'd been the Ravens versus
I still think the
Eagles
Ravens
matchup.
are the best team in the NFL.
Oh, 100%. You couldn't stop the offense. They literally lost the game because they lost it themselves. You can't stop Lamar and Derrick Henry with
Ravens
the
fans have to be sick watching the Chiefs play because I mean, there's no way that you could stop like Lamar. That fumble by Lamar is one of the worst plays. It's like the Cam Newton play in the Super Bowl. You just lost
don't
it.
disagree.
Yeah, But yeah, I mean, I'm going to go back. I do think, I don't know, man. I agree with you. Sometimes it feels like the Chiefs get some calls, but I think ultimately you got to go beat them. And you say they're not a good team. I would agree, top to bottom. Like if you put them like pound for pound or whatever against other teams, they may not be as skilled, but Andy Reid is such a good coach. And then you have Mahomes. And so that's all you need at times. Great coach and a really, really, really good quarterback. Obviously, Mahomes didn't have the same year that he had this past year, but
15-2, lost versus the Bills, and then
they lost 2 games.
Bills and Broncos. But the Broncos, you don't really count that one because it was at the end of the year. They sat everybody. Broncos are trying to get the playoffs.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
But I mean, you look at the Browns game. If Jameis Winston doesn't throw 18 picks that game, the Browns win easily, which then could have flipped it. And then the Bills end up getting home field advantage. There are a couple AFC wins that they had that you just you're playing bad teams. 21-7 versus the Browns in Cleveland. Jameis threw I think it was 4 interceptions. But
we're not good. They were not a great team. Like I said, top to bottom, they are not a great team. But
then you go to you go to Pittsburgh the next week versus Russ, and you thought, oh, is he gonna cook? Or the Steelers legit? And then the Steelers obviously were the team that you knew that they were, and they just lay an egg. Everybody's just laying eggs. So I don't think the Eagles are gonna lay an egg, and they're gonna come out and show out.
I think Saquon will get his numbers, but it's going to be an inefficient number, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are going to make Jalen Hurts throw.
All right, here's the biggest thing. Do you take the prop bet for an over-under showing of Taylor Swift if it's out there like Taylor Swift over under 5 or 7 showings?
Of course, I actually haven't looked at the prop bet yet, but
I haven't dived in or dove into those yet. So it's just kind of fun. I was gonna say, obviously it's fun. It's fun. They're fun prop bets. Obviously, the Super Bowl or the national anthem, how long that's going to run, the coin toss, fun stuff that you can do on the side. Kendrick Lamar, let's see, how long is he going to perform for? And then I guess the biggest bet for that will be, this is probably amongst your friends, does he let off Not Like Us? Does he open with Not Like Us? Because everybody wants to know. That's the one song people want to hear is Not Like Us.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously this is why Drake sued, right? Because he did not want this to be played during the Super Bowl. Yeah, I assume he plays it. I assume that it's something, but I wonder, the question is, does he play it like the Not Like Us part, or does he sing like A minor and pedophile, right?
Something's been telling me he's gonna come out the gate and it's gonna be like a beat of Not Like Us, and then he's gonna say the A minor, but then he won't say the rest, and then he'll go into, he might finish out the song and then go into the rest of his catalog. He's gonna drop the A minor some way, shape, or form out there, because you can't not do that, because that's what everybody's expecting. So it's gonna be fun to see.
I'm not seeing it on BetMGM here if they've
Oh, okay. They might throw something out late.
Yeah, nothing here, but maybe I'll keep looking for it.
I would say your local bookie will probably, unless if you got good credit standing, might let you make a prop bet with them for something. But yeah, we'll see if Vegas actually ends up putting it on the books, because this will be fun. I mean, at the end of the day, I got the Eagles taking it. A part of me would like to see a three-peat. Obviously, my UConn Huskies are looking to do a three-peat themselves. The years that the Chiefs win, UConn wins at the same time. Actually, I have to look at least on the last one. But yeah, Chiefs win, UConn win. So it would be cool to see 3P because, it's cool to see history happen. But, like, if that A minor drops, there's going to be a light-skinned tantrum up in Canada. Let me tell you, he actually might try and shut the border down and start going on a Trump rant himself because he doesn't want anybody to cross the border if that happens. Every relationship that he had, boom, big schism in everything that he thought he had with a relationship with people because he won't want to see anybody. It's probably the worst L I've seen someone take in their life, and it's unfortunate. You didn't go bar for bar in this one, and if the whole world listens to that one verse, that one lyric being dropped, yeah, you're about to see a flurry of IG subtweeting, sub.
That's what I'm saying. There's no way
whatever videos thrown out.
I personally do not believe Kendrick will sing the A minor part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how much do you hate somebody, Sterling? Do you hate somebody the way that Kendrick does not like the way that Kendrick loathes Drake?
Yeah,
it's strong, honestly, a lot of disdain.
I've always felt like I've kept receipts and like I keep things pretty. Yeah, I like to use those things as motivation, and I've always kind of kept those. Like the list, like in The Office when he's like scribbling the list, like he like scribbles people's names off of Ryan, the temp, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I feel like I've always kind of kept a tab. I've never kept a tab like Kendrick,
and
it made me feel like I haven't hated in the right way, or I haven't hated enough, to be honest with you. So to your point, Kendrick hates him, true hate.
Yeah,
but there's legalities around this stuff, man. You cannot. I've said it so many times. You cannot get in the Super Bowl with 150 million, 200 million people watching and call someone a pedophile and it's not substantiated. Like
technically, he's not calling him a pedophile.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't call him a pedophile.
He calls his boy a pedophile, and then he says
exactly, and then you can say it's indirectly referencing to Drake as well because it's the OVO crew. But if one person does have a legal case,
hold on, the A minor,
but you can say that's.
And it's probably A minor.
Obviously, it's a double entendre. However, you want to interpret that lyric, you can play that in court, not saying that it's actual. He's saying, I am saying A minor, the chord on the musical scale. If you want to interpret it as A minor and not saying A minor,
we all know what he's saying, right? You can
say that, but you can argue. Yeah, but then look at how we're arguing right now. You want to have this stand up in court? For a lawsuit? No, go ahead. Run with it. Exactly. So he's going to run with it.
No. The defense would not stand up.
The defense would definitely stand up.
No, it wouldn't.
Probably strike a chord.
And he's got other lines in the songs like Euphoria and stuff like that saying the same thing. So, yeah. That is the big question to your point. I wish there should be a BetMGM kind of line or someone out there doing that. So,
and also, how could you sue him when it's been running for how many weeks now? 20 weeks on the charts, something like that, something crazy.
I think longer than that, long time.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to look forward to it. I will say the NFL has done a good job in the past 5-ish years in bringing out acts that I think, the millennial crowd, as you transition outside of the, obviously boomers.
Yeah, they're catering it to us now. It's weird.
Exactly.
To think about that, but
yeah, boomers having their musical artists on there, and then now you're catering it and bringing it in, ushering in the younger crowd and the musical acts that everybody grew up with and likes to see, because obviously, viewership and dollars speak volumes. And if your new audience of millennials are your high spending audience, and that's the people that you're trying to cater to, like you're saying, this is what you do. So we will see what happens. It'll be fun. But while you're watching, you got to understand that they are bringing out a lot of new technology when it comes to the way that we're consuming the game. And also outside of just the NFL, we have, NASCAR's popping up in what they're going to be trying to do. So Sterling, what are some cool things that folks are going to be able to see as they're watching the game when it comes to being able to consume it from, different angles, what they're going to be showing on the TV and all of the kind of, I'll say, higher definition capabilities that they're looking to do with computer vision, software, all that type of stuff, bringing into the game.
Yeah, first let me hit the little ad read for our guys at the FeedSpot. So check out FeedSpot, the site that allows you to subscribe to podcasts, news, YouTube, all in one place. If you didn't see at the end of the year, we made the FeedSpot Best Atlanta Sports Podcast. Again, curated and done by them. So check them out at feedspot.com and build out your following today. Let's go back to football a little bit. I know we just talked Chiefs and Josh Allen and everything. So obviously we had the big play in that Chiefs Bills game where Josh Allen, they tried to do the tush push again. It had been stopped earlier in the game. You can't tell if it's on 4th and 1 or 4th and kind of half a yard. Josh kind of trying to move the ball in the pile. And at first they mark him short, right? Then they review it, and they upheld the call. It was a little weird. It felt like maybe the ball did cross by like a third of the ball. But again, you couldn't really tell what was there. So I dug into this and I wanted to see how close are we to having, RFID within footballs and really being able to track this, right? I mean, if you watch a tennis match, and when the ball goes out of bounds, they start clapping and they automatically know where the ball hit. They show it on the screen and it's done. It's a quick check and it's done very quickly. And so the tough thing, right? Like right now, the NFL has 6 ultra high definition cameras coupled with computer vision software that measure the distance between the football and the first down line. Like that's what you see on TV when you're looking at the yellow line or whatever it is. I think it's like green on Amazon, stuff like that, right? So that's what we've grown up with. That's what we've known. That's what you see when you see some of these replays. But something that is started to be worked on is technology through Hawkeye. We've talked about Hawkeye a ton of times on this podcast. And they have started a trial with optical tracking system, again, similar to what you see detecting in tennis balls and in tennis matches on the pro level, with this essentially RFID technology placed into the balls and with the cameras around the field, being able to track where the ball is at any time. The reason right now that they do not utilize this is because really the complication of the cameras are. They feel like there's immediate and impactful complications to where the cameras are, which is what we see on the broadcast every week as to why they are not going to this system essentially now to be able to use this Hawkeye system in place of the chain gang. But really interesting, I think, because the Future Football Committee, which is the NFL's competition committee, has looked into this and has started approving the trials. But again, it feels like maybe a season or a couple seasons away from replacing the chain gang and going to this technology, which would change everything, right? I've always thought about it for such a long time. Like, why do we still see these guys, these, older gentlemen, no offense, right, staring down? And the interesting thing with the Josh Allen play, if you watch it again, you got one referee from like the far side. He's got a first down. The guy on the near side has him short. And that's how we've been graded football for the longest time. And, now with betting and all these different partners, we have to do something a little bit different, I think, moving forward. And hopefully Hawkeye and the NFL will figure this out so that we have the RFID technology into footballs moving forward.
The irony of Elon bringing Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, into the U.S. government should have like DOS, Department of Sports Efficiency, because like you're saying, we've had an antiquated way of measuring. And those guys, a lot of people just collecting checks out here. Why do you need the 10-yard? I love the chain game. Obviously, it's like a nostalgia type of thing. But we have iPads and yeah, people have smart homes nowadays. You're using Chat GPT to do your homework. Like we've evolved as a species. So let's evolve the sport and let's be a little bit more efficient here. Let's look at how can we clean some stuff up here on the field. But I think everybody always senses is like, if you have and I know our next story is on NASCAR, and at the finish line, a beam that goes across and you can track who breaks that beam. They do it in the Olympics. why wouldn't you to start to be, kind of a little something simple, put that on the end of the chain, and then make it so that the chain is erect and there's no way that you can kind of, you can bow it out, because you can hold the chain at like let's say a 45-degree angle if you wanted to, but it always stuck at like a 90-degree angle to the ground. And so with that, has a laser. If you break the laser, or chipping the ball, that wouldn't change the aerodynamics of the ball for throws, obviously not for runs. If it breaks it, easy, boom, you can see it, you can mark it, just how you have for VAR when a player's left elbow just breaks through the line of defense, the back of the line, and he's offside. You can see that, something similar. So I'm with you there. I mean, let's be a little bit more efficient, because you're deciding games with a way that has now been passed for this league and the athleticism that we are now seeing. And similar to what I want to say, like echoing sentiments that like Rory had said for a course last year on the PGA Tour, that the game has passed this course by. The game has passed this way of measuring by. And maybe if you want to keep it out there for symbolism's sake, you can do that and have that be there unofficially, but so that coaches can be like, all right, this is what I can see visually on the field, because they're not seeing the imaginary markers that we're seeing on TV. Cool. But we've got to figure something out, because I think that there are too many close calls in these games now that you can't have that be the deciding factor. But yeah, it's interesting that when they do this trial, just need it to roll out quicker, because we need it. The fans need it. You're going to squash all the concerns about, are they only throwing flags or giving first downs for teams that they want?
It feels like sometimes too, or it's happened a couple of times in the playoffs where it's like they missed the mark completely, or the guy went down. You're like, wait, why did they mark it there?
Dalton Kincaid, first clear first down. There were no body. It was just him and another body. Obviously,
there was one with Lamar where I was like, he got 2 more yards, and they marked him like short, and I was like, wait, what just happened?
Doesn't make sense. And I know they're doing the best job that they can. You only have one vantage point. You got 2 eyes coming from a different angle. That's why you confer with the other refs. But I think the way that they've been able to do real-time corrections on calls that they can legally do at the moment, I think you have to extend that out, whether if it's going to be a trial for the playoffs, because the playoffs is such a big moment. They should extend that out so you can have automatic reversals for calls and judgment calls that the refs have been given the benefit of the doubt for so long. But, it'll only make the game better. And I love to see it evolve, because everybody loves NFL football. Everybody loves football in general. But when you have the questions at the end of the day of, is it rigged? You never want to see that to break the legitimacy of a league, and always have that looming question kind of hanging over, and that conspiracy theory that just downs it just makes everything negative. It makes it bad. So you can squash that by bringing in technology, which would be cool.
Yeah, agreed. The next story that we have is TNT Sports is launching a new NASCAR driver cam experience exclusively on Warner Brothers Discovery Max streaming service that will offer motorsports fans in-car HD visuals, audio replays, and a wide variety of data and other information. They're launching this weekend with the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray this Sunday, February 2nd. So the NASCAR Drive Cam on Max will offer users the most comprehensive access inside each driver's car on up to 40 drivers each race. It will feature a layered audio mix of scanner team radios and ambient car noise, all synced up with a 1080p driver cam feed on supported devices. BR Racing's X and Instagram platforms also run a weekly poll for fans to vote on the 4 drivers to be featured in a special fan-selected multi-view stream on Max. I saw this story. One, it's super cool, so shout out to Max and BR for everything they're doing here. This also does feel a little behind. I feel like, I know you are dad. You guys still watch NASCAR. I don't watch it as much as I used to. With after everything,
damn shame. Yeah, you ain't American. What American don't? What American male ain't watching NASCAR out here? Left turns, baby, and they thrown in right turns with these road courses. This is a damn shame, Sterling. You should be ashamed of yourself.
But sure, But I feels like from a technology perspective, this is just kind of catching up to what is available within F1. Am I wrong there, or do you feel like this is an advancement within driving and kind of watching your favorite racing and racers?
It's catching up from the standpoint of I'll say promoting it and then adding in kind of I'll say sexier capabilities to what you have today. So to what you have today is you can listen into each team radio, and I think you can get some camera shots, but not to this like depth in the layer that
Okay, so you
layering that
think
you
this is
have.
a better layer of like being able to be, really with the
100%.
driver cam? Because F1 has a driver cam.
Yeah,
And to your
F1 has
point,
a driver cam. Yeah, on
and
Sky
you're listening
Sports.
to on Sky Sports, and you're listening to your point, to the pit into the radio the whole time.
Yeah. So what you can do right now in NASCAR is you can tap into every driver and listen into their feeds. And then I don't know if it goes for every driver and cams that you can access, but some you can, but I don't think it goes across the whole field. But from what it looks like they're trying to roll out with this, it is a lot more in depth. And I think you're getting a better bird's eye view of what the driver's going through. It 200 miles an hour in a pack going around Talladega or Daytona, really being able to see what it feels like to be inside the cockpit, or being inside the car. I don't think they call the cockpit in NASCAR, but I think I actually love the addition. And whether if the technology was there before and it just obviously wasn't being promoted, I love that they are promoting it now. So I'll say they are catching up to what F1 has done, because F1 has been the pinnacle of technology, whether if that's in the car or outside the car. And the closer you can get there, and making it a little bit easier for consuming for the casual and for your diehards, it's only going to grow the sport. Because you saw last year, NASCAR went head to head with Formula One here in the States. I think it was the Austin race. Can't remember where NASCAR was at, and NASCAR beat out. So when it comes to racing in America, NASCAR is still king, because of the brand that they've made over these years, 50, whatever, 70 years, 75, something like that years. And all of this will continue to usher them into the next generation of driving and fandom, because they're not just, I think what they're trying to move away from, and I think it started off with banning the Confederate flag and, taking that old boy mentality, that this is just a Southern I got dip spit in my mouth and I'm out here just driving left turns, and I'm just a backcountry boy driving, and that's our fan base. That's who we're catering to. And they're seeing that there's so much more in with the crowd and the diversity that they have with people that love the sport. And so being able to do something like this is going to continue to grow, I think, grow the league. And I think it's a nice touch. And then as the cars continue, they're on the second gen cars, I think, right now. They went to the singular lug nut for the tires, which is similar to F1. So making pit stops quicker, faster. Everything that they're doing right now, it seems like they're going to try and continue to take that and keep that top rung on the motorsport world here in America. It's tough. I mean, they're not going to grab, I think, the overseas audience, because F1 has that one in a chokehold. IndyCar is just trying to get viewership however they can, because I think IndyCar has a great product right now too. So all in all, the more media that you can consume for racing, the better. I think that's probably that's the last sport right now that you have genuine rivalries. So F1, I think if they were able to have that TNT nose drama factor behind it, because you already have the natural rivalries, and then the equipment outside of F1, this is IndyCar and NASCAR specific, are stock. So anybody can win on any given Sunday and or Saturday. And I think it makes for legitimate competition. And then you have some bad blood that you get out there on the track, which is just natural drama. And I think this is right now one of the best sports series that you can pick up and watch, even if you might think it's a little bit, I would say, boring, or, something that, you can kind of tune or have it as background noise.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm interested to see this. I'm going to check it out tomorrow as they're at the Bowman Gray Cookout Clash, and kind of check this out within the Max app and see what it's like. Try to cut some clips, try to add it to our socials for people to see, and then definitely kind of be retweeting some stuff that BR is putting out just to kind of see what it's like here. So before we move on, I want to just highlight something, right? I guess do I have to say that I'm kind of working on this too? Did you see LeBron is launching, or he's getting into racing as well? He's going to the E1 world.
Okay. No, I missed this one. Hit me with it.
So yeah, LeBron James is launching a new team in the UIM E1 World Championship presented by PIF. The team, I think I'm going to butcher this, Alula, champion by LeBron James, set to join the fleet for the 2025 E1 season. So the innovative championship team sees teams go head-to-head in high-energy racing in iconic global cities, including Doha, Monaco, and Miami, in a bid to be crowned champions of the water. So I'm excited to kind of see this. Obviously anything LeBron gets into, I feel like it's a good investment. And so, yeah, cool for him to kind of be jumping out there. There's so much, I feel like racing or just like these different, kind of leagues. I know the next podcast we're going to get into, we're going to talk more into alternative leagues and just investing and stuff like that for people, just a little heads up there. But, yeah, it's interesting from a racing perspective, to your point about just the technology that's out there. There's so many fans out there that do love racing. So how do you go grab them? And so interesting. It's why we want to talk about the NASCAR piece. That's why I want to talk about LeBron there. There's a lot that's coming here. It feels like in 25 to impact racing fans in different ways. So interested to see how the E1 series does with LeBron joining.
I mean, it just feels like if you really break it down, especially if you're just a casual fan, you don't like sports in general, racing is the easiest sport to consume because everybody knows it's easy to digest the rules. First person to cross the line wins after however many laps. You don't have to understand the nuances that go into the game or into that sport particularly, because at the end of the day, I saw he was in first place. They finished in first place. He finished in second place, third, subsequently on and on and on. I get that. Versus basketball. Oh, wait, why did they just stop play when he just had the ball? Oh, that was a travel. What's a travel? This is a travel.
Right.
Oh, what happened?
Why can he not pivot? Why can he not? Why is he dribbling?
Why you do it? Why you do that? You don't have to understand that for driving or just for racing. And that's what I think. And then also the sound, it brings something carnal in you, and it's just that like natural human reaction and seeing and feeling the vibrations and just the power from all these motor vehicles that get you excited. And I think that I think it transcends men, women, age range, age groups as well, gender, age, everything. So like everybody can, I think all in one, enjoy and appreciate what the sport is. And I think it's going to be an interesting time period over the next, say, 5 years to what the sport will look like, obviously from a environmental standpoint, gas and a natural resource that, obviously is finite, and how we can, maneuver that, because it ain't the same for all the esports. I love it to death because I love what they're doing from a green perspective, but it ain't nothing like feeling 200 miles an hour going by you, and it's just a diesel car, just that feel it in your chest type work.
There's a difference. Well, I think we'll see. I've not been to one of these E1 races yet. Hopefully soon. So, but I agree. There's something when you're at the Indy 500, in the snake pit, and you like feel the car go around. You're like, that's just the different feeling.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Our last kind of big story here before a couple funding rounds that we will highlight within sports technology here is surrounding baseball. And we have talked about this a few times here on the Sea Talk podcast, but Robo Umps or the Robo Ump technology is finally coming to Major League Baseball. So in the spring here for spring training, the automated ball strike system, or ABS, will be tested within the minors for the first time with Major League players. Excuse me. It's been in the minors, and now Major League players are going to be able to utilize this and test it out during spring training games. So the upcoming spring experiment will employ the challenge system, in which human umpires will still make the vast majority of calls themselves. Each team will start a game with 2 challenges it can issue to an umpire, who will then rely on the automated ball strike system to review the pitch if a team calls a challenge. If the challenge is successful, the team retains a challenge. It doesn't lose anything, so still have 2 kind of moving forward throughout the game. So more than 60% of spring games will feature the automated strike zone. The Diamondbacks are set to use the ABS system 29 times, which will be the most in the league. The Cubs will have the fewest chances at 7. So really cool here. The only really big nuance that people should kind of think about in terms of how the system will kind of work is they're actually going to have to measure all of the players going into the season here to make sure that they have essentially an average height at the top of the zone and at the bottom of the zone. The thought process is that the automated system will most likely call strikes fairly consistent on the higher end of the zone, or right under your chest there where the top end of the zone is, but they will be less forgiving at the bottom of the zone, like where your knee is, or where the top of the knee should be, where they should be calling balls and strikes. So I'm super interested to see how this will be implemented. It's super quick too. If you've seen it, again, we'll post the videos again that we've posted previously on the C-Talk podcast, YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and everything. But I mean, it's super quick. The batter steps out, he taps, says he wants to check it. It's similar to in tennis, right? Where people are kind of clapping or waiting. It takes about 10 seconds, and then they tell us if it's a ball or a strike. Again, we referenced them earlier. Hawkeye is behind the innovation here with the technology. And so, yeah, really cool that this is rolling out here for spring training, which is crazy that spring training is in like 60 or like 45 days here for baseball.
I mean, so with that structure, basically, Jose Altuve should never strike out. Basically, if they're taking the averages of the average height across the league and then structuring that for,
I agree,
knees to chest, which is great. Also, I think this might be a waste of money now. I don't think they need it.
Why?
Angel Hernandez has retired, so it's just not necessary anymore.
That's a good joke.
We don't need this.
That's a good joke.
He was the reason for the balls and strikes being having such pressure.
He was one of them. He was one of them.
So no, this will be cool and much needed for this sport that some people are saying is the dying sport.
I think baseball is in a okay place. I think the tough thing the Dodgers doing, and I've done a deep dive on the Dodgers and their deferred contracts, but them doing what they are doing, when you're hoarding talent like this, it tunes people out, right? Because I think the NBA had the same issue where you knew for 4 straight years the Warriors and the Cavs were going to meet in the finals. And I loved it because I'm a Steph guy. And I also to see LeBron go to the finals 7 straight years was unbelievable. But some people did like that. But it's this weird farce that I think we do within sports, right? Of you want parity, but then when it is the Diamondbacks and whoever, you don't watch.
I think it's a little bit different because I know I'm taking you off topic really quick because we're coming to the tail end of the pod, but I think it's different versus the hoarding of talent when you have the ability to pay off. I want to say an unsubstantial amount of money for the luxury tax. For you spend whatever, and then I forgot what percentage you're going to pay. Yeah. So you can
the luxury tax in a way because of the annual value.
You can break the rules.
Yeah, you
can break the rules because you have the money. So if you do away with
the rules, but it's I agree.
In my eyes, you're bastardizing a stipulation or a rule that was built into the league to allow for teams to overspend, but to not, like I said, bastardize the rule and being able of the luxury tax. But that's exactly what the Dodgers are doing, because you can overspend if you want to and then pay X amount that you need to at the end of the year for that luxury tax. So if you do away with that, but you can't do away with that now with because if you add a salary cap in, players are going to say no, because now I'm not going to be able to do what that Shohei Ohtani contract is. Obviously, he has it deferred, but you're not going to be able to make that godly amount of money with having a salary cap. So baseball has now dug themselves into a hole that they cannot dig out of. And I think it's different to what you had with Steph and the Cavs, because I think that's great. That's sports. I think that's great GM work. That's a great way to work your salaries and work your team. And then also knowing how to bring in talent to go with those that you drafted, because the Warriors drafted. And then on top of that, then you added in the final pieces, like you brought in Iggy, for example, who they're retiring his number, I think, this weekend. And then on the Cavs side, you obviously knew the structure that LeBron.
They also but obviously Kevin Durant. But you
KD, obviously the biggest one. But you're able to work the numbers because you drafted, and then you structured your contracts and your team in a certain way that you could bring in those final pieces. Obviously, Iggy's not being paid the same way that you're paying KD, regardless. But and then on the Cavs side, everybody understood that wherever LeBron goes, LeBron's going to structure the team in the way that he would like it, whether if it's veterans and then having that other 1-2 piece that he can have.
They drafted Kyrie.
Monster. Exactly. So he's going in. I think it's a GM game versus a monetary financial game that you have in the MLB. And that's why I think, you are hurting and hoarding in the MLB, but I think it differs versus the other leagues.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, that's what I think the tough thing is going to be. If the Dodgers run away with this and they win 110 games and they win the World Series, people are going to be like, well, this is stupid, right? But if they lose,
then you make fun of them.
Right?
You're stupid. You're terrible. You guys are awful. Yeah, it's jokes that can run for days. But yeah, I mean, everybody, like you said, it's like you said, to the farce of everybody wanting the parody. I think people need to be able to appreciate when folks are good at their jobs versus being able to just come in here and strong arm people with money, which is what you can do in the MLB. But in the other league, in NFL to MLB, NHL, and MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL, I think that's a great GM game. And you have a good front office and organization to be able to pull off a run, say like the Chiefs are doing, or what you're seeing with the Celtics right now, even though they've lost the previous finals and then they just won two finals ago and then they just won this last one. So yeah, I think people just have to be able to appreciate when people are good at their jobs.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's hit. I've only got a couple here in terms of investments. So we'll hit these super quickly here. So Baller League, which is the digital-focused 6-side soccer competition that launched internationally in 2025, has secured a major investment from Portugal-based private equity firm Apex, alongside a host of high-profile soccer players. Apex is a part of an overall investment of about 24.1 million in Series A funding into the competition, which is entering the UK and the US this year, with EQT Ventures leading the funding round and Courtside Ventures also participating. Baller League has already conducted 2 seasons in Germany and it's expanding, as I said, to the UK in 25, which is expected to launch by the end of March. With the backing of several popular social media and streaming personalities like KSI and soccer legends Louis Figo and Ronaldinho. So shout out to the Baller League. Shout out to our guys over at Apex and at Courtside Ventures as well. Super cool. Again, we're going to do a deep dive later this month on alternative investments and things like that are going on. But this is one of those here that has popped up and wanted to highlight what they were doing there. Taylor, quickly, what if you could make a league?
Mm-hmm.
Or make a new league, what would you make?
Well, you already know my excitement that I have around racing, so it would have to be structured around something like that, and it's got to be high octane too. But I would make a better IndyCar that spans a couple continents if you could, because I think racing
Formula One.
Not all continents, just a couple continents. So let's take it, maybe
But
South
they already
America.
have that, and they got Formula 2, like they got F2. Like, what are you
No,
trying
but
to read?
F2 is the feeder into F1.
I know
I
that.
would just make IndyCar better
That's
because
what I'm
I
saying.
think
Like, you've already
IndyCar is a
got
better feeder.
essentially the same thing as what I'm. That's what I was saying, right?
So you want me to make up a brand new sport? Is what you're asking? I can't just be a better GM and make basically what the
Well, I was
US
saying, if
the
you were to make a
USFL
new,
was to the
not
NFL.
a,
Like
you don't have to
I
make a
can't
new
make that.
sport. Like, take Unrivaled, right? 3-on-3 basketball, full court 3-on-3 basketball, right?
Yeah.
Great idea for the women's
Yeah.
side. Shout out. Yeah, if you could make a new league, what would you make? That's my question. Maybe
All right, then yeah, I would. We're gonna go with a kart series does exist. I think really strong in Europe, but let's go with indoor like go karts type of thing that the common person can jump into a little bit, and we're gonna make a league out of this that'll end up crowning at the end of the year with like a $1 million purse if you could to the winner, and then that's life-changing money. But the entry level, anybody can get in here through some qualifiers, baby. We ain't making it so it's a pay for play for a seat. And then I think you could get some dollars and you can get some viewership, because if we're able to get some 3-on-3 basketball, whether if it's the big three, whether if it's unrivaled, you're about to have other stuff jumping on to TNT. Everybody's hungry to grab that next thing so that they can get eyeballs and viewership and ad dollars. I think this would be good, because why? The common man, this is where we're at in society today. Everybody wants to be known. Everybody thinks that, well, when I watch TV and I see Steph pull up from the logo, I could do that. I can do that. I can do this. I can do that. No, you can't. But you know what you can do if you think you got it? Why don't you join my league? Join this race league. Think you can go up against some of the better people around your area, qualify, win the Northeast Regional. Then we're going to take you to the East Coast. If you win the East Coast, we taking you from regionals to super regionals to nationals. You win nationals, baby, what you doing is the Super Bowl of my league. You can get $1 million. How does that sound? And it's just common people. Everybody's going to watch that.
I agree that I would do. That's where I was going to go. I was going to do. Remember the movie Basketball?
Basketball?
Yeah, have you not seen that movie? It's old. It's not old, man. It's like from the 2000s. I mean, I guess that is old. That's weird.
You just have a stroke while saying basketball? Basketball?
No, I did not have.
This is old Bay and basketball. What is this?
No, what the movie?
I've never heard of this. What Tubi movies were you watching back in the day?
Not
on
a Tubi
BET,
movie. What are you
BET
talking
late
about?
night before Tubi even existed.
You've seen this movie.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you are at the barbershop and a man rolls in saying, I got collateral on DVD, do not buy from the hookup man at your barbershop, because next thing you know, you think you're watching Space Jam.
What are you talking about?
You're actually watching some bootleg version from South America that now you think is the actual movie, and now you got this stuck in your head, and you got basketball being something cemented and supplanted into your memory as some great movie that you can go and reference, but no one knows what you're talking about, because why? You had a bad hookup. Don't be buying all the junk from your hookup man that comes into the barbershop, folks. Because if you do, you're going to be like Sterling, throwing out movies that don't exist. With next thing you know, you're going to say Kazam was a great movie. Is that right? You're going to say Kazam was a great movie? And everybody knows Kazam is a Mandela effect and was not a movie. So everybody thinks that, oh my God, so that Sinbad starred in Kazam. And if this is blowing your mind right now, that it might be that Sinbad starred in Kazam doesn't exist. And that's what Sterling's doing right now with Baywatch, Bay basketball. He's rolling. It's okay. So you can't hear it right now, but there's a trailer going in the background of kind of like baseball and basketball. And it's a movie that looked like a Pauly Shore. That's not Pauly Shore. Don't know who that is. It looks like a Woody Harrelson actor with hair. This is the most 1990s movie, 1989, early 90s movie that I've seen in quite some time. And it's spelled base. How'd you spell that for basketball? You got to unmute yourself.
Yeah, it's basketball. I told you it was a movie, and that's what I would create that. I would create that as my league there.
like I said, ladies and gentlemen, don't take all the movies from the hookup man at your local barbershop. We all appreciate bro
That's
man
not a
that comes
hookup. That
in.
is a real movie.
Next thing you know, you're going to have some Jordan 13s that have a backwards Jumpman logo, and you're going to have some corns on your feet. And I'm speaking from experience. So stick to what you know. Stick to what is it? Stick to the rivers that you know. Is that that's TLC right there? Can I throw that out?
Yeah.
No, that actually does look like pretty innovative. So it was basketball, or sorry, it was baseball, and basketball played on a field, and you had to hit the ball into a hoop to score, but it was like a baseball the size of a volleyball.
Yeah,
it's creative. Yeah, something new. I mean, at some point in time, we're gonna get to that futuristic rollerball type movie that you saw back in the day that has basketball incorporated at the end, and something's going to come along and shift the mindset of people, and it's going to be a new sport. And what will it be? I don't know. We'll see who's going to be the commish for that, but it'll be $1 billion idea at some point in time.
Probably. Last one here is Output Sports. It's a Dublin-based health tech company focused on making elite level sports science simple and scalable. They announced a close of a $4.5 million pre-A funding round. The investment round brings in new support from athlete-led Apex Capital, European deep tech investor Unifund, and Dopamine Sports. Super cool. They have a little wearable that kind of goes on there. It's done by Olympians here, or created by Olympians, I should say. So shout out to them on their funding round there. Last one we had not a funding round, but I thought this was super cool coming out of the Australian Open last couple of weeks was that animation. I put it up on our YouTube or TikTok. Again, continue to follow and kind of go to our socials there with C-Talk Podcast. But they essentially had Wii Tennis as their animation. And it was to get around some of the broadcast rights that they had. And so we're using EMG and Gravity Media Tech to be able to kind of do this. But essentially, when you were watching it on YouTube instead of watching the actual performance, you were watching essentially this kind of Wii gaming kind of video animation, which is super cool. Again, I put it on YouTube, put it on TikTok. Go check it out. I'll repost it. But super cool there coming out of the Australian Open. Just want to highlight that. That's kind of our last story here. So, yeah, man. That's all I got. That's all I got this week.
Hey, Happy New Year. Great New Year podcast.
It's not Happy New Year. But yeah, we appreciate everybody. Like I said, thanks out to our guys at FeedSpot. Continue to rate, subscribe, wherever you get your podcast. And like I said, continue to go to our socials at T-Talk Podcasts on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all that. He's Taylor at TaylorMac29. I'm Sterling at SteveMac. Anywhere you get your socials. And we'll see you on the next edition of the T-Talk Podcast.